morning, Bud. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me here.
Of course, of course.
Appreciate that.
Of course. Why don't we just start off by letting us know where you're from, your name?
My name's Norman Robertson. All my friends call me Bud.
Yeah. How's it?
Yeah. I was born in Boston, Massachusetts,
No kidding.
and I was adopted as a baby. My parents couldn't take care of me. That was right after the Depression era. They were in a bad way, and so I was adopted. And my adopted parents moved directly to Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
And I've lived in Florida ever since. So
You're
I don't
a native.
remember up there. So,
You're pretty much a native.
so anyway, and then my adopted parents, they were having problems when I was about 16. And I decided to go on my own because I was the only one.
Oh, okay.
And so I joined the Navy. And I went through boot camp in San Diego, California. Now, I didn't finish high school. I only finished, junior high. And so they, asked us questions how to best place us to help the Navy. And so I ended up in the boiler room on a destroyer, and boilers and turbines, and that's what I did for 20 years,
No kidding.
except for 2 years shore duty. And it was some process. I mean, I liked the service. I went out one time. I was going to try the outside again. I tried to get a job down here, and all I could get was a filling station or something like that. I said, that's not for me, so I re-enlisted. And then the Korean War broke out. And should I go on with my?
Yeah. So
Okay.
let me ask real quick.
Okay.
Let me ask real quick. So how long was it from you enlisted until you separated?
3 years.
3 years, and
Yep.
then you said, nope, going back in.
Right.
Gotcha.
It was just about 3 or 4 months, and I was back in.
And how old were you then?
How what?
How old were you then?
20,
Oh, okay.
21. I don't remember ages very well.
You're fine.
Birthdays and stuff like that.
So you went back in, and then did you go into the same rating? The same rating?
Oh yeah, same rating.
Same rating.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then, so go on.
BT.
Yep.
Called BT. Yep.
And that's during
And,
the Korean War started at
yep.
that point.
So I made third class petty officer, which was, headed up the ladder, and BT 3. So I was on a destroyer. So that was most of my service, was aboard destroyers.
Do you know which one you went?
Yeah. USS Arnold J. Isbell, USS Ingraham, USS Sumner, and the one I first went in was, oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of it. Isn't that terrible?
No,
I can't remember.
You already remembered more than I thought you would have. So
Yeah,
you're fine.
and anyway, I was on the USS, not Bonhomme Richard. That was one carrier I was on.
Carry.
2 years aboard a carrier. And I made E8 on there.
Very nice.
BT senior chief. And when I made senior chief, they didn't have a billet on the ship for a senior chief, BT. So I got to ride one of them, you know, when you go from ship to ship,
Yeah. The cutter.
Highline,
The Highline.
Highline, yeah. And then I went aboard I was USS Osborne, 846.
Okay.
We were deployed to Korea through Yokosuka, Japan. That's where our home port was while we were there, back and forth. And we were deployed to Wonsan Harbor, North Korea. Shore bombardment detail. We were with the USS New Jersey, battleship, fire and shore bombardment. And the first night there, the captain decides to anchor. So he anchors. We're about 1,000 yards from Sendo Island, which is a tiny island in the middle of Wonsan Harbor, Wonsan, Korea. And I remember I had the mid-watch. That's the 12 to 0400.
In between shifts.
Right. Down in the boiler room, and we were still steaming regular. We were just sitting there, generators running and stuff like that. We weren't underway, naturally being anchored. So I got off watch at 4 and hit my bunk. And I got up it must have been 7:30. I heard the bonk, 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 which was the,
Time to go.
go to the battle station.
Yeah.
And my shipmate was shaking the heck out of me, get me out of the bunk. Well, I'd just been in there like 3 hours. Didn't get too much sleep. So I went topside and to get to my station, which was the after fire room, after boiler room, and I got outside, and our 3-inch mount, twin 3-inch anti-aircraft was right above me. Both guns went off as I stepped out the hatch. And I mean, it just I couldn't hear anything after that.
I know, right?
So I went up the deck to get in the passageway, indoor passageway, to go down in the fire room. And I noticed several splashes close aboard, artillery splashes close by. And so I hurried to get down below. And sure enough, I got down the fire room, and we were in a full astern mode, which is the engines were going full astern, trying to drag our anchor, which was hung up in some rocks on the bottom of Wonsan Harbor. And so a few minutes later, we got a full stop. The captain decided to send the chief boatswain mate up to the bow with a hammer and a drift pin to knock out the drift pin in our anchor chain, our port anchor chain.
Just drop it.
That's the only way we could do it. He wasn't about to drag it in because he couldn't get it off the rocks. So he evidently got it loose okay and everything. And we were underway. We got out of there.
You were sitting ducks.
Oh, we were. We had 3 direct hits and several near misses. Well, I've seen some of these coming in, or heard them, and seen the splashes. but we were hit, and one place was in the port forward passageway where the chow line forms in the morning. But this was Sunday, and luckily there's nobody there because it hit right there on the deck, splattered the bulkhead and everything, and so quite a few guys were lucky on that one that it was Sunday. And another one went through some structure up on the O1 deck, went right through, and it blew up in the water on the other side. And the other one came in and it hit our where our general delivery of mail is, and it went right down the bulkhead. It was like you had a strong arm and you did like this on the bulkhead and bent it all in, all the way down, and it blew up on the deck. It made a hump on the deck, and right underneath the deck is number 4 boiler. One of my boilers.
One of your boilers.
So it didn't hurt the fire room a bit, nothing. Just made this hump in the deck. If it went through, it would have went right in the number 4 boiler. And that would have been kind of just, would have took everybody in the fire room and so on. Stuff like that. So
I was watching you guys that day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, God was watching over us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was our, I could tell you a bunch of other stories, but I know I don't have time.
We
So.
have as much time as you want, bud. We have as much time as you want. That's what we're here for.
Well, there was one other time in Wonsan Harbor, and I don't know what watch I had. I don't know what day it was. I got up to go to chow, and now if I'm keeping you guys, let me know.
No,
Okay.
You're our last guy.
Okay. So I got up, went topside, went up to get in the chow line, port side, and I looked out across the bay. We weren't firing at the time. One of our mounts had been firing one round every 5 minutes at targets of opportunity in Wonsan Harbor. And there were a lot of targets in there. This was a big train depot for the North Korean Army and military and so on. And so we were in there quite often. And that was our duty there. So I looked out and I seen floating round blobs. So I went in right away and phoned, called the bridge. I said, hey, look out here. On the port side, about maybe 300-400 yards, there's a bunch of things floating around out here. And they said, yeah, we already heard that. And we're stopped, and we're going to. So they asked for people to help on the bridge. So I went up on the bridge. They put me on a 50 caliber machine gun. So we were firing at these blobs, and they were mines. They had floated during the night. There was none the day before. There's a funny thing about that. They say these mines were special, and the North Korean Navy had planted them. They were anchored to the bottom, and when so many ships passed over them, it gave them a signal in the chain that anchored them to the bottom, and it turned them loose after so many ships had gone over them. Was this diabolic or what? And one of our destroyers hit one. Which one was that? I forget which one it was, but You okay?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Uh, but anyway, we got rid of all of them that were floating, and we had out. Yeah. Well, other people were shooting other 20 millimeters cannons. We had stuff going all over the place. So that was a story. But
That's a good one.
yeah.
Give the boiler engineer
Yeah.
control of the 50.
And of course, we went in Incheon Landing, where MacArthur had that. General MacArthur had us do that landing, and we helped them there. And we went in for a few hours, then we had to leave. The tide there is very. It would have left us high and dry had we not left. But tide up there was very different. It was on the other side, was on the west side of Korea, Incheon. So they made the landing, and it was successful, as everybody knows. And so he got a well done from President Truman, I think it was.
Yeah, the attaboy. The attaboy ribbon.
Which he later had problems with, but that was mostly what went on. We had a lot of time there, and
Now, while you were there in that little time.
yeah, and then Vietnam, and and I retired in 19. Or was it 19? Yeah, 1969. Yep. I went in 48, and I retired in 69.
So, and how was, like, at what point, when you first got deployed, to go back into Vietnam? Wait, so you were deployed and went back into Vietnam?
No,
Okay, so you were done before that? Huh?
Yeah.
So let's go by the dates.
no, this was after.
Yeah. Gotcha. So
Yeah,
while you were
70.
there, you obviously had some comrades that you dealt with.
Mostly, I was aboard the carrier during that period.
Gotcha.
The only thing I remember, I met a few pilots aboard the carrier, and we lost a couple of them that went into North Korean, what was that, North Korean town, or anyway, it was a big, where they were bombing and that, and we lost them in there. One of them was, we didn't lose them, they captured them. They shot them down and captured them.
No kidding.
But one of them was a senator, and I forget his name.
I was just about to ask you.
But I met him one time
Did you?
too. So, but
Did you receive any commendations, medals, ribbons, anything like that?
oh, a lot of them. Yeah, Korean service and Vietnamese service, occupation Japan. I got a meritorious one from the Navy for helping in our deployment to Vietnam, and getting our boilers and everything in shape for that
Good deal.
job. Yeah. So I got a letter in my records and everything from
Very good.
from the Navy admiral and the Secretary of the Navy too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good deal.
So and I got a few others. Good conduct. I don't know how I got that, but I got it. You know, stuff like that. That was about it, I guess. And
Now, what was one of your if you had to choose one of your fondest memories, like a good one?
my fondest memories.
Yeah. You have one? Sometimes
In the
people don't
Navy.
have any, but.
Well, I guess when I went back home, because I was married, had a family, had a family going, and had 4 kids. So it was always nice to get go back to, and I was stationed in Long Beach, California,
Okay.
and our ship was. So that's where we were. And I had chief's house. We had a house there, and that was pretty nice.
Yeah.
Nice, you know.
So when did you get married while you were serving?
Yeah, it was just before I went in.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. I was 18. Just got married, and
And how many kids you have now?
what?
How many children do you have now?
I got 3 now.
Okay.
Yeah, my oldest son passed away just last year.
Okay, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, he had COVID, and it got him.
My mother too. So
And
COVID.
yeah, I took him fishing many times. Well, that was his hobby and my hobby. We went fishing in Hawaii, in the island of, in the Big Island, Hawaii. And I caught a lot of marlin, big marlin. And I lost the biggest one I ever had on.
Isn't that the likely story?
The mate and the captain said it was estimated 800-pound blue marlin.
Wow.
Yeah, that was fun anyway.
Wow.
I had her on quite a while.
Yeah.
That's another story. Because it's a funny thing, and he wrote it up and put it in his email. His name is Van Moles, the captain. And he said, I had Bud on today, and he had this big fish. It was a big marlin. The mate and I estimated over 800 pounds. Wasn't quite a grander, which was 1,000. And had him on quite a while, and then all of a sudden his line went slack, but then it went heavy again, and this fish took off and took 300 yards out. I had her close to the boat, almost ready to gaff her. So I fought with this one for a while. We brought it in, and it was 150-pound blue marlin, and it was hooked in the tail. And he said this fish had been swimming beside the female, the big one, and when she got off the hook, he immediately got on the hook.
So you technically caught 2.
He said, "That's my story." He said, "That's one for the X-Files."
Yeah, right.
And he said, "I'm sticking with it." And I got a whole copy of that. The way he wrote that one. So we always had a good time fishing. Though I went over there 5 times, and that was a great experience.
That's fun.
And but that's when I was working with Florida Power.
Okay. You did that obviously when you separated.
When I separated from the Navy, I went directly to work for Florida Power, doing the same thing I did in the Navy.
There you go.
Boilers and turbines, making electricity.
Nice.
Yeah, I worked up here in Oldsmar,
Oh, okay.
at the plant in Oldsmar.
Okay.
And 21 years with Florida Power.
Okay.
and I retired from them. So I got a couple retirements plus another one, Social Security.
Bud's doing okay.
So I'm happy,
Good.
and here I am in a beautiful place, and we got put in here 2 years ago,
Okay.
my wife and I, and she's taking a nap right now. I told her to take a nap.
Yeah.
So
So as you when you left the service, what would you say? What you learned in the service as a man, from being a young man to an adult, did you take anything away from you in the military that you still used throughout the rest of your life?
well, yeah, all my experience
Yeah.
on boilers and that, it gave me a beautiful job with Florida Power, and I ended up as a plant operator with them, which is next to the chief operator.
But as far as like your personal such, as far as like your steadfastness.
Oh,
and job-
personal, well, just a recognition that, like people like you are offering me, and things like that, and
Okay.
yeah, and a lot of people stop me on the street when I'm wearing my hat. I'm not wearing that very often, but when I do, and they'll say, "Thank you, sir, for your service." I mean, this makes you feel good because people realize,
You recognize.
what you might have been through or whatever, and
Exactly.
20 years of service or whatever, or even a year of service, depends on how long you stayed in.
Right.
I decided to stay in because it gave me a great opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
and so I've seen it and I grabbed it.
Good. Well, that's kind of what we look for, because some people only take 2 years and some do a full career, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
So typically you walk away with something else inside of it that
Right.
teaches you. And
I'm still a little bit hard of hearing
yeah, that's
from that.
from the boom.
Yeah. Well, we had a chief corpsman aboard, and I went up there after this, and he looked at he said, "You might have a little bit of problem in you."
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, I've had it to this day, I guess. I got hearing aids, but I don't like to wear them. I'm sorry.
You're good. So, with all your experience in your life, military and as just a man, if you're sitting across from another 18, 19-year-old man,
Yeah.
what's one good piece of solid advice you would give that kid?
I say, hey, if you ever decide to go in the military, you can find a good spot. They'll put you somewhere where you help them and they help you earn something that is knowledgeable to you and you'll be able to use later on. If you stay, you get travel and you get good pay, and if you're lucky, you get good food.
Air Force.
And so, there you go, yeah. I wished I had joined the Air Force, but I didn't. I joined the Navy. But I learned something to carry me through, and it did. And so, if you ever wanted to go in the service, go ahead, go for it. If you find something better, there's a civilian out here, great, go for that. I mean, whatever turns you on, that's it.
Good. Oh, Bud, listen, this was very painless, very simple, but I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. This was a great interview. I want to thank you for your time.
Well, thank you.
I want to thank you for your time, for this behalf of the Pinellas County Veterans Association and Meese Life, we wanna say thank you so much for your service, your bravery,
Thank you.
and allowing us to have this moment with you.
All right.
All right?
All right.